Check this out.
Welcome to BLPA Big Show. Hockey sports, life for the adult athlete. Yeah. Powered by the Beer League Players Association.
Better follow me.
Follow us, the BLPA, on every social media outlet. Follow the crew on Twitter at Nicker Jones.
Let's get it. Here we go.
Welcome to the greatest sports show in the world. Good week, everybody. I'm here with my good friend Jason. Jason, what's going on?
What's going on, Nick?
As mentioned, I'm hanging out here at Disney, the most magical place on earth. Is Disneyland the most magical place or Disney World?
I think it's Disney World is what's like in the commercials, but Disneyland can't be too far off, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, but isn't Disneyland the original?
Yeah, that's true. But Disney World is like the bigger. They've got more things like Epcot and all that other craziness.
Well, I want to go on record and say size doesn't matter. We can't just say because it's bigger it's automatically better. We know that is not the case. But before we get too far into that, by the way, I'm eating a fucking Klondike bar in this rented SUV / car studio. I'm getting it all over the place. But whatever. This show is brought to you by HockeyWolf.com. Ow, 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 ow.
Ow, 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 ow.
HockeyWolf.com. A bunch of fucking buttes, beer leaguers just like you and me, trying to make the sport more affordable, and not just hockey, but lacrosse, all those other sports. So if you got a team, you need some team stuff, they got you. If you need some new gear and you want a good deal on it, they got you. If you want some state fucking gloves because you're going to play in a new state and you'll actually remember to take them to the right state and not the wrong state, they fucking got you. So go check them out, HockeyWolf.com. Ow, 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 ow.
Ow, 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 ow.
A burning question as I don't know if you can hear this. That's me eating. What would you do for a Klondike bar, bud?
Not much. I don't dislike Klondike bars, but they're not like something that like I'm like, oh, I gotta have it. So probably not a whole lot. I'd probably just go to the store and buy one if I wanted it.
That seems like a simple thing to do, but it doesn't really make for good podcasting. But anyway, we got a lot of shit to talk about today, mainly because we haven't been around for a couple weeks because obviously I'm at Disney. Guess who was at Disney right before I was at Disney?
That would be me.
You were there. And you know what? If we would have known...
Yeah, we missed each other by like a day.
Yeah, if we could have coordinated this bullshit, we could have been like doing probably a podcast episode at Disney.
Yeah, you would think two guys that talk to each other every week for like an hour would have known that they were going to be at Disney. And then on top of that, two guys that were together in the same city for 2 weekends in a row right before it.
Yeah.
You'd think we would have known, but we just didn't.
And we text back and forth throughout the week. But, we try to keep it professional because we're a professional podcast. I don't know if you guys know that, but we are professional as fuck. We're going to talk about Disney because Disney has inspired me to do things.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about that. Obviously, we're going to talk about tournaments, and then we're also going to talk about questions from the listeners. But first, I want to talk about, you said it, we were in the same place for 2 weekends in a row. We podcasted since then. But how you feeling coming off 2 back-to-back draft tournaments in a row? Or draft experiences, sorry.
No, yeah. I was definitely fatigued after the second one. Like 2 weekends in a row is a lot, even though I'm obviously the peak of what adult athletes look like. It was still for sure. I don't know how you do it. Like there's months where you do it like every weekend. I was definitely fatigued after that second one, but I had a blast in both cities. Great time in Omaha, great time in Boston, different groups. So it was a fun time, but I got back and it was Monday and somebody was like, hey, can you sub tonight? And I was like, absolutely not. For no reason will I do that.
Well, I can tell you how I do it. I'm a badass motherfucker. One. and 2, cocaine. You know.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, I don't know.
Well, you told us in Omaha we weren't allowed to have cocaine.
Uh-huh.
You didn't in Boston, so maybe I should have took the hint of back-to-back weekends. This is when cocaine's okay.
Here's the deal. 1, I don't do cocaine. 2, I don't really remember what I was saying in Boston. I was so sick in Boston. And
you were not having a good time.
And I'm still sick. Like I still cannot stop coughing. I don't know what the hell. The only thing I can say is maybe we masked up for however long up in Canada. Until recently, and I still wear my mask quite often. To be frank with everybody, not that frank, but a Frank that would Patreon the show and probably do a VIP box. But to be frank, shout out Marco Cosentino. To be frank, I just kind of think that my body wasn't ready for an actual cold or infection, right? And so like I got back to Calgary and I went to the urgent in air quotes care center, and I say in air quotes because I got to the urgent care center at 10 o'clock and I didn't see anyone till like 3 o'clock. That wasn't very urgent, but that's Canadian urgent, I guess. I don't know. And basically he said, looks like you had strep throat, and it turned into a sinus infection, which is a weird combo, but this is what he said. I'm not a doctor, I'm a scientist, so I wouldn't know. And he gave me antibiotics. I took 10 days of that shit, and I'm still sick. So I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. Did they offer you the shot or anything? Like, I always take the shot when they offer it.
What shot?
I feel like, oh, you got both?
No, what shot are you talking about? I didn't get offered no shot.
Oh, there's an antibiotic shot for sure. And then they have, like, a steroid shot. And I always get those when I have sinus infections, and I feel better in, like, 6 hours. It's crazy how fast that shit works.
So
I always go for that.
Any shot they offer me, I take, and I didn't get offered no shot.
Yeah, well, it sounds like Canada's fucking up. You need to get their shit together.
It was free.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
It wasn't free in the States.
Trade-offs.
Wasn't free when I paid $2,750 to find out I had a cold, which wasn't a cold, which ended up being strep throat, which is weird.
Yeah, no, states are not big about free healthcare. That's not how we roll here.
Yeah, well, whatever. Hey, life goes on, and my life is gonna go on playing hockey. We got a lot of tournaments coming up. I'm in Columbus here in a couple weeks now. Once I get back from Disney, I'll be back in the swing of things. Basically sold out. We need one team to sell this thing out at 32 teams. I think we'll find it, but we're ready to get rocking and rolling. Ready to get rocking and rolling.
I'll be there too, so that's going to be a good time.
Who are you playing for?
That's a great question. I don't remember the team name. Daddy something.
The Daddy D-Wines?
That's the one.
I think D-Wine was like their governor or something like that. They don't like it.
Yeah, so this team came to me and they're like, listen, we want to stay in the bender division and we need some benders. So are you interested? And I was like, yeah, as a bender, I'm in.
Which is weird because I got a call from the person that runs that team and says, we're no longer a bender team. You're going to have to bump us up.
Jesus.
Yeah. So, what are you going to do? What are you going to do?
Yeah, I guess I'm going to be the worst player on the non-bender team.
Well, you know what? I've seen the roster, and I don't think that's the case.
Okay. So do you think we are a bender team then?
No, I think you guys average out to right where you... See, I have this thing that I do, and I basically take the ratings and run them through all some stuff, and then average them out, and then I rank... Then each team has like a average rating, and you guys are where you're supposed to be. In theory, if everyone rated themselves correctly.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see. I'm excited to play either way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not even about. I mean, okay, it is about the playing, because now that we actually have something to play for, and that's an entry into the Beer League World Championships in Las Vegas in October, I think it's late October, might be early November. I'll have to check the dates. But basically, you gotta win to sin. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll tell you, I've been in 16 tournaments in my life, and of those 6 teams, I've never been on a team that won a single game. So that probably says a lot about me. But I'm hoping that we can just squeak out one win that weekend.
Well, I mean, one win out of 3, possibly 4, if you win more than one, is a pretty good goal to have. I think you guys can do it. I think you can do it.
All right. That makes me positive. I'm even more excited to get out there now.
All right, here's the deal. Let's talk about Disney really quick.
Turn it up.
Be a beauty. Listen, subscribe, rate, and review. Let's get it.
And listen,
Okay.
this isn't a Disney podcast, okay? I have a friend
It's
that
not.
No,
No.
I had a friend that did a Disney podcast. It was pretty good, and he wrote some blogs for us. But I haven't been to Disney since I was I would say 10, and I went to Disney World, and I came to Disneyland for my little guy's 5th birthday. He had a blast. He loved it, and you know what? I loved it. I love Disney too. I felt the magic. I was inspired. But what I want to ask you first, I have a couple questions because I was asking you a little bit about your trip to Disney. Number one, what was your favorite ride at Disney?
Favorite ride was probably at the California Adventure Park in Disney, and it was Guardians of the Galaxy. I thought that one was a really fun ride. It's the old Tower of Terror, I guess, or Hotel
Okay, yeah,
Terror or something.
yeah.
But it's Guardians of the Galaxy now. I'm a big Marvel fan, but it's a fun ride for sure.
I didn't get to ride any of the big boy rides because
Okay.
I was with a
I saw
5-year-old.
you were on Cars.
Oh, but
I saw you were on Cars.
Man,
That's got to be your favorite.
yeah,
then, right?
I love Cars. And hey, that picture I sent, I look cool as fuck, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. Nikki Ice for sure.
Yeah, I mean that literally. I mean, I look so damn good, and because there was that black background, it made me look like I had a full head of hair. Boy, I look good as fuck, and so I like the Cars one. The only issue is like you had to pay extra to go Lightning Lane, and my question
Right.
to you, the number one question I asked you, and I didn't really get an answer other than you weren't prepared. Who the fuck goes to Disney and doesn't buy the Lightning Lane?
Yeah, I didn't even check to see how much it was. Like, I couldn't even tell you.
It's cheap.
But I definitely should have. I should have bought the Lightning.
You know
for
how much
sure.
it costs? Okay, for most of the rides, it's $20. It's $20. It's
Now, is that one ride or
No.
as many times as
okay.
you want to ride
So there's a bunch of rides that are included on the $20, and you can only ride it once per day. But let's be honest.
it? Okay.
If you're riding a bunch of rides, like we basically got 5 rides on each side a day. Like we rode 5 in Disney, and we went to California Adventure and rode 4 or 5 over there. And so we really didn't need to ride them multiple times. But then there's some like Cars, the Star Wars, and there was a couple more where you had to pay extra to go to the Lightning Lane. And we did that because my little guy liked the Cars, and I liked it too. But what I don't understand is how people can go to Disney, and I don't know how much it costs. Let's for easy math, let's say it's $100 to get into the park at Disney. Why would you want to go and stand in 1 hour 90-minute lines to ride a 2-minute ride and waste your whole day in lines when you can pay $20 a person and it just says come at this time and you get to go basically to the front of the line? Like, what's the story?
Yeah,
like, what's the story with these people? I don't, because there's so many. Like, to have a 90-minute line and to walk up and be like, ha, I'm going to stand in this line for 90 minutes when you could have just paid $20. And maybe that's me being, like, bougie. But I mean, for me, like, instead of standing in line for 5 hours, I stood in line for 5 minutes and I paid, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think what ends up happening is people, at least like me, don't realize how cheap it is. Like, I just assume that it's stupid expensive, and I don't even look. And maybe that's everyone else's problem too, is that like they just assume like nothing's really cheap at Disney, right?
No.
Like in general. So I would have assumed it was way more money than that. I would have assumed it was like, $150 per person or something to do all the rides or something like that. Like, I don't know what I would have thought, but I didn't know it was that cheap for sure.
Well, I can tell. We went to
just again not prepared.
Yeah, well, we went to Knott's Berry today. Well, I don't know if you went to Knott's Berry, but my little kid likes Charlie Brown Peanuts, so they have a bunch of Peanuts rides. So we went there to go on to get their Lightning Pass. It's $100 a person. So when I heard it was $20 a person at Disney, I'm like, every day. We went 5 days in a row. Said whatever. It's $100. Guess what? My time is very valuable, and I'm not going to stand in line for 90 minutes to go on. It's a fucking small world. I don't even want to go on that ride anyway. But my kid loved it.
Yeah, me neither.
My kid, I don't get it. I mean, it's creepy. One, and even when I was 10 years old, I remember going on it in Florida. And listen, we had the fast pass in Florida because my grandmother was in a wheelchair, so we got to the front of every fucking line there. We didn't have to buy. Well, maybe we had to buy. I don't know, but I don't remember having any kind of fast pass on a phone because we didn't have phones back then. But what I do know is that ride is creepy, but my kid loved it, and that's all I heard. We'd walk. It's a 15-minute walk to the park. He'd sing, "It's a small world after all." And he'd sing. First thing in the morning, fucking all the way to the park. He'd sing it, and get out of the park after we rode the ride. He'd say it all the way back, and then just randomly, like I'll be just tonight before I was working in the bedroom on the computer, and my kid's on a Switch, and I hear, "It's a small world out." I'm like, oh my god. And you can't tell him to stop because he's young. He's excited. But
yeah, we wrote it. Neither of my kids cared. My 11-year-old was like, "This is boring," and my 2-year-old wasn't really into it either. So
yeah, I liked it because I could work. I could send emails while I was on the ride because I wasn't paying attention, or I could play Pokemon.
It is a long ride.
It is a long ride.
Yeah,
real long.
It is a long ride.
Another one my kid liked, and I was very surprised because my kid he doesn't like loud noises and scary stuff. Haunted Mansion, he loved that thing.
That one was actually super cool.
Yeah.
The first part where you're standing in that room and it starts to stretch, is like actually a little scary. Like I wasn't scared, but I could see where it would scare people.
Yeah, it scared my little kid, but then he thought that was cool, and then at the end of the ride when the ghost hitchhikers, it shows you in the mirror and there's a ghost sitting on you. My kid loved it.
Yeah,
he named the ghost every time. Oh, that was my friend Josh, and I'm like, it's a ghost. It's not your friend. He's like, nah, it's a nice ghost. He didn't try to hurt me. I'm like, all right, bud. But here's the reason why we're talking about Disney. One, because Disney's fucking awesome. But two, it's inspired me. Now I want to create BLPA land.
Get ready to go.
Let's do it.
Full send on the BLPA Big Show.
Okay, I'm interested.
Listen, okay, and we talked about this before I came to Disney and got inspired to make BLPA land. I said we're going to build a rink, and eventually we are going to build a rink. That's kind of a long-term vision for me, to have a rink and make it. Who knows where it's going to be? We don't even know where it's going to be right now. But we can make it the most kick-ass beer league tournament destination ever. And so I asked people.
And it's called the Nick.
It's probably not going to be called. That's just what I want people to call it as a nickname. It'll probably be like.
Okay,
probably be like Nick's School of Hockey for players that don't skate real good. Whatever, But I wanted people. I want to know what people want. Like, what would be if you built a rink, or if you went to the perfect tournament place? What would be things that you would need to make it that place where you're like, I got to go play a tournament there?
So for me, the best rinks always have like a good restaurant in them, somewhere that you can hang out in between games, where the food's good, got a good options on drinks for sure, but just a good atmosphere where it feels like, your team and the rest of the teams can all hang out together and bond without having to go anywhere between games, right? Like I can just walk to the restaurant in there. Maybe it's got a good view of the ice, and we can do that. The other thing that I've heard that a rink has that exists, that I've never been there, is a hotel built into the rink.
Yep.
So you can just stay. You can just fucking stay there and play there, right? And I selfishly would want one of the suites that has like a balcony that overlooks the ice, so that I could, watch some hockey from my hotel room as well.
That would be. I've heard of the hotels at the rink, but I've never heard of any that actually overlook the ice. But that would be badass. Here's my vision for the rink. One, it's got 4 sheets of ice. It's a four banger.
Okay.
You have to have a four banger.
Yeah.
And there is a restaurant in the middle. Guess what that restaurant is?
Nick's.
No, it's Blaze Pizza.
Oh, yes, even better.
I mean, if you start thinking about a restaurant, what is more cost effective than just making those fucking pizzas? Like when you think about when you think about the ingredients that it goes into make, like it can't cost more than a couple bucks a pizza at most. And then you have
For sure.
and you have that stove that cooks them. I've looked into this stove, and that stove's like $100,000. But whatever. Okay, you got to invest. You got to invest. I'm looking for investors, Frank, for this thing. But I think you crank out pizza. You can go up there in between games and get a pizza in 5 minutes. Come on. So you and
for the customers, it gives you many options, right? So like you never get sick of eating pizza because like I can just do a different one the next time I go get pizza.
Exactly. You have a and maybe it's not a Blaze Pizza, but it's a Blaze-esque type pizza place. Plus, then you have a Subway type place there too, so you can have pizza and sandwiches. You can get shit all day. We don't need to eat steak. We don't have fine dining. We don't need that.
Yeah.
Okay. But then I think there is a hotel in the parking lot. But the crown jewel of this will be a state-of-the-art, high-tech RV parking lot.
Okay. Yeah. See, like I've never stayed in an RV, but for you, I know that's a big thing for sure.
Well, I think there's a lot of people that have RVs that they would bring. This is a beer league tournament place, of course, but eventually we're going to have youth tournaments too. And I think a lot of families and parents, they have RVs and they drive them there. They'd stay for a Thursday to Sunday tournament, and you can you charge them $50 a day. But the number one thing is it's gonna have the best internet of any RV park in the world.
Okay, I dig it.
It's gonna be the best. So those are the three things or four things we've four banger. Has a Blaze and a Subway type restaurant above the ice, and then it has a hotel and an RV park. But to turn this into BLPA land, now we're gonna have to have rides, attractions.
For sure.
So what kind of rides will we have? Like I keep envisioning a ride, like it's a Small World, but it just takes you through all the different places. But it's hockey figures. Kids would love that shit.
Okay.
And it doesn't play. It's a Small World. It just plays. Hello out there. We're on the air. It's hockey night tonight. I don't know if you know that song, but
I do.
Okay.
They play the Friends game.
Yeah, Stompin' Tom. And so we have that one, and then we definitely have to have like a log ride, but it's got to be hockey themed.
Okay.
I think this place it can't fail. This is a 100% can't miss opportunity, and if y'all want to invest for the low price of I don't know how much it's gonna cost. How much do you think? Think about how many people were in Disney, and they were taking reservations for, like, you had to have a reservation to get in, and it was still packed.
Yep, for sure it was.
Think how much money they bring in every damn day.
Oh, I can't even imagine.
The food, the clothes, and listen. You see these shirts? They're called Jersey Spirit
with
shirts.
Disneyland on the back?
Yes. They're called Jersey Spirit shirts.
$75?
Yep. And everyone had one. Everybody.
Yeah, everybody.
And guess
Not me.
Guess who's about to have some? BLPA. They're going to say BLPA on the back. They're going to have a little BLPA logo on the front. I don't know if did your wife get one?
No, we both looked at them and we were both like, "Yep, not for $75."
They're super good, because they're like oversized, baggy, like comfortable shirts.
Yeah.
And my wife had bought some for her dance competition and sold out. But they have those, and then they also have those with a hood and like a big lace, which could be a hockey lace, and a pouch on the front. So we're gonna have some BLPA one of those too. But the amount of money that Disney makes is absolutely incredible.
Yeah,
incredible.
Insane for sure.
And so I just think BLPA will probably not make that much money, but I think we could create a place that people want to come to every weekend to play hockey.
I I love your vision. I love the dream. We just got to make it happen.
And you know what would make it happen?
Frank Patreon us?
Well, it'd take a lot of Franks and a lot of Patreoning, but all it takes is money. Money and time. That's all everything takes these days.
That's right.
So, okay, well, let's transition to this. Why are you so pissy, bud?
Well, listen, if you listen to the last episode, you know I was upset with Marriott in Boston. It was not a good time. And Nick, me and you are Team Marriott, right? For sure.
Yeah. Hey, bud, me and you are what? We're Titanium Elite.
Titanium Elite.
What? There's only one.
Right.
There's only one above, right? Ambassador Elite for sure.
Ambassador, yeah.
And I think I missed that by like $3,000 or something like that.
Yeah, I didn't miss it by much either. But here's the thing. I'm still pissy at Marriott. And this is a new situation that I'm having with Marriott where I was going to Disneyland, and being a Titanium Elite member, you get some perks with that, right? And usually the perks they give you, they give you a choice. Like, here's 5 things you can choose from. Pick which perk works for you, and you can have that. So the perk that I picked was suite night. So when you book a hotel, you're able to request a suite night, and you can request what kind of suite you want. And if it's available, then they give it to you, and it uses one of your suite nights. You're familiar with this?
Yes, that's how I got that room in Boston, and it was a nice room.
Okay.
Real nice.
Perfect. The problem that I have with this is that they don't guarantee your suite night when you reserve your room and you put in for the upgrade. They don't even tell you if you're going to get the suite until like a couple of days before you're supposed to be there. But my problem with it is that if I'm requesting a suite night, it's because I need a suite. So if I find out 2 days beforehand that it's not available, that's too late, right? Because I requested it because I need it. I don't request it when it's just me working or something like that. I request it when the whole family's come in and I need a separate room for the kids or whatever that looks like. So that's already my problem is if you're going to offer a reward and say, because you're such a high status, you get suite nights. When I book the hotel and I request the suite night, they should be able to tell me right then and there if the suite is available for those days, and I should get it as soon as I book. Otherwise, to me, it's just useless. Does that make sense?
It does make sense to me. I was in a similar situation with the Marriott here. They I don't know. And listen here, like especially in Florida, they don't give a fuck. Especially, or I'm sorry, in LA around Disney, they don't give a fuck. You know why? Because there's so many people right behind you that are like, well, I'll take his room. So
exactly.
I get it. I get why you're so pissy. Like there's supposed to be some like hotel loyalty, because we stay at these places a lot, and when it comes down to it, businesses don't care about us, bud.
It's true.
They just do not give a fuck. And so I understand why you're pissy. I'm pissy at my hotel, and I got your back. I just don't know what we could do about it.
Yeah, well, that's 2 weeks in a row, Marriott. So you have me pissy 2 weeks in a row. We need to get it together. I don't want to have to call you out again next week for some bullshit that you try to pull. Exactly.
Man, that's why are you so? I forgot to do the intro. That's why are you so pissy with Jason? All right, let's get to the hockey stuff or the BLPA stuff. What we're here for. Basically, we put a call out. We said, hey, listen, we're recording the BLPA Big Show. What's on your mind? Ask us anything. And people, hey, this was actually last week when we asked this, and we couldn't get it, together to record because we were all traveling. What do you think about Will Smith bitch slapping Chris Rock?
Yeah, I don't really know how I feel. I think it was like I feel that myself in most situations I can see both sides of a situation. So like I can see you wanted to defend your wife, but I also could see like I don't think you handled it quite right. Walking up on stage and smacking another grown man. If you really wanted to defend her, you should have went up there and it should have been a fist fight, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're that mad about it, don't go up and slap Like that's what children do. Go up there and fight him like a man.
Yeah, that was. I mean, but hey, listen, that's pretty insulting to slap a grown man, too, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Like you're like, listen, I didn't punch him. I slapped that motherfucker right in the face. And then
the
they're
shit
like,
out of him.
and then here's the deal. Listen, obviously, violence is not the key to anything, but you try to think about think of the restraint that Chris. Like, what if someone walked up and slapped you? You wouldn't just You wouldn't say that guy just slapped the shit out of me. Like
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like I thought it was fake at first, but now it doesn't seem like it was fake. Now it doesn't seem like it was fake.
No.
And the reason why I asked that question is because that was like when I asked people what to say, that was the number one. Like, can you give us the proper slapping technique? Yada, yada, yada. So, anyway, so I answered that. When goalies, and let me get your take on this, because this happened at a BLPA bash in Colorado Springs. When goalies get injured, is it acceptable to allow a higher level goalie to finish out a game that the winner of said game could make it to the championship, asking for a friend? Without any backstory, what do you think?
I think the answer is yes. Nobody wants to play against a team that doesn't have a goalie. Now, I think you have to, was there an option for a similar skilled goalie, but instead you went and grabbed the more skilled goalie? That can get into a little bit of gray area, but just a blanket statement, some goalie is always better than no goalie, and that goes for both teams. Like, I wouldn't want to be on a team where a goalie gets injured and we just go down and score a bunch of empty net goals and win. That doesn't seem fun to me.
But if you were the team that was playing against the team that got injured, would you be okay being like, well, you don't have a goalie, you forfeit, and we win?
No, I don't want it that way either.
Okay. So here's what
we're all here to play hockey, right? We're not here to get forfeits.
Exactly. So here's what happened. I don't know the exact period, but I think it was second, maybe the third period. Goalie goes down, and I believe at the time, the team whose goalie got hurt was either up one or it might have been tied. Maybe they were even down one. It was right around there. It was a 1-goal swing, whatever. Yeah. And basically, they're standing around like, what are we going to do? And there was a goalie that was already dressed that I believe was playing in the game after them. And he said, okay, I'll jump on and do it. And it just happened to be in the division above. And so he jumped in. And here's basically what happened. He got 4 shots on him in the period that he played. In the time that he took the 4 shots, the team scored 4 or 5 goals on the opposing goalie.
Okay.
And so at the end of the day, everyone was okay with it happening when it happened. But then the team, and I was not at this tournament, so I don't know the full details, but apparently the team was then asking questions like they were upset after the game because they're like, well, we should have got to go to the championship because their goalie got hurt and they brought in a higher level goalie. And, you know, the guys that were there running the tournament were like, well, listen, like your goalie let in 4 or 5 goals and you only got 4 shots on this goalie. So, I mean, how do you, so that answers that question. That's what happened. I don't know if people are still sour about it. The team that it happened to were pretty good people. They come to a lot of draft experiences and support us. So I don't know if they were actually upset or if they were just giving the gears to the people around the tournament. So that's that one. Let's see. Groin and hip strains. I'm not the only one. Any tips on rehabbing and or just getting by while also in the heart of the heat of the playoffs? Stretch, but I don't even do that. So
yeah, groins you just can't play. You either can't play or you gotta play hurt because it's never going to stop until you just take time off. Like that's just how groins work.
I get a lot of massages. Speaking of groins. Not those massages. And
gotcha.
And I had a hurt groin one time, and I sheepishly had to say, listen, the lady that does my massage, she's a good-looking girl. And I just sheepishly say, listen, I'm not suggesting anything, but is there anything we can do to work on this groin here? That's a weird question to ask a massage person, right? Like, that you have to think they hear this kind of shit all the time, right?
For sure.
And she goes, "Listen, I've been massaging for a long time. I know that you're embarrassed asking that, but actually there is, but you're not going to like it." And I said, "Well, let's fucking do it. Let's get her knocked out." And apparently there's like something that connects to your groin, like a muscle or a ligament, tendon, I don't know what it is, but it goes up into your stomach. And that's where they can work something out. And she dug that elbow right in that spot. It hurts. Like, I was in tears. In tears. But 2 days later, my groin felt way better. So maybe that's the situation. Especially when you're talking about your hip. Yeah, and you can't.
Yeah, I think you
play.
should have just went for the handy and not worried about the groin.
Well,
honestly.
I mean, yeah, it was an upscale place, and by upscale place,
okay, got it.
I mean, it was a place where it was like, pay $80 for our hand job club or whatever.
Massage Envy.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was kind of like that place. Yeah. Okay. Oh fuck! I still got the fucking coughs. Let's see. What's the fastest land animal?
Cheetah.
Yeah. That's a weird question. We just nailed that one. It's
next.
Okay, this is from Lauren. In its beer league, we all pay to play, and don't have any endorsements. Well, at least I don't. Nick probably does. I don't. I'm saying I don't have any endorsements, but I would love. I'm open to it. I'm open to name, image, likeness, just like the college football players. So if you want to pay me money I'll promote anything. So
yeah, for sure.
If someone breaks someone's stick, shouldn't at the very least someone be a good sport, give an apology, or even offer to pay for the stick?
I mean, apology, yes. Pay for the stick is kind of. I think that's pushing it. Like, I mean, I don't know. Did they two-hand whack down on your stick and snap it in half? If that's the case, they're a giant douchebag, and they're certainly not going to pay for your stick afterward. Or was it an accident? In which case, why should they have to pay for your stick if it was an accident?
Did you see that one time that goalie got in like the altercation, and he took that player's stick and stuck it in the goal and then broke it?
Yep, stuck it in the top of the net and then just bent it over the bar.
Yeah, what a dickbag. But
yeah, like that guy's not going to offer to pay for your stick, right? Like, he literally just took your stick, stuck it in the net, and snapped it over the bar. Unless he was just seeing red and then suddenly comes to his senses, he's going to pay for your stick. I highly doubt it.
But do you think he should?
I mean, that guy for sure should, but he's not going to.
That's why when that happened, I tried to take up a collection and buy that guy's stick, but didn't happen. But, I've had people break my stick on purpose, and not even. They basically said, "See, there's what you get." There's no apology. I'm like, what? What did I do that make you want to, break my $300 stick? But yeah, I think an apology, like if you break it, I think people when they do it accidentally, they usually say, "Hey, I'm sorry." I don't know too many people where they go out and say, "I'm going to go try to break this guy's stick on purpose."
Yeah, no.
So, that's a weird question.
I don't think that happens that often, for sure.
I mean, if I slashed someone and I broke their stick, I'd definitely be like, "Sorry, dude, I was playing hard. I, didn't mean for that to happen. Sorry, Yeah. So
exactly.
Sticks are so goddamn expensive.
They are. It's ridiculous. Unless you go to hockeywhoops.com. Ow, ow, ow.
Ow! Ooh, let's see. God, this is a hard one here. What's your opinion on beer leaguers playing in skill divisions more than one up or one down from their skill level? To a level to where it becomes a hindrance to those teams where it'd be the individual is so good they can't dial it back, or they're so bad the team basically plays shorthanded. At what point should either be addressed?
Yeah, so we have a rule in Nashville in the two Ford Ice Centers that we play in that you actually can't. If you play in any league, you cannot play more than one up or one down from it. So if you're lower C, you can only play middle C or D, which I think is a good rule. But it doesn't stop. Like I played a game tonight, and their team had a B League skater on their team for sure, and it's a D League team. But he probably just doesn't play in any other league. He just plays in D League, and he goes out there and he skates around everybody. So I like the rule, the one up, one down. I think that's a smart rule for them to put in. But I think in our case, they think that fixes everything, where it really doesn't. There's still guys that play in divisions they don't belong in.
Yeah, we always talk about it, and we're never going to solve it. I think as long as a league tries to make an effort, that's all they can really do. I mean, how do you police? Let's even say at the Columbus tournament, we have 32 teams. So let's say if every team has 10, we're at 320. So let's say there's 400 players. How do you police 400 players in a weekend?
Yeah,
it's impossible. Like there has to be some self-responsibility from the GM and the players. And guess what? What I've learned is, listen, and I get playing down with your friends. I totally get that. And I get people say, oh, he dials it back. He just plays defense. But when he doesn't dial it back and when he doesn't just play defense is when your team's losing near the end of the game. Then he goes balls out because he's there, because he's a better player and you guys want to win. I get all that. But until that can be addressed with every player, because if I go to a team and say, hey, listen, this guy's too good. He can't play here or he can't score or whatever. You know what they're going to say? Well, look at the team we're playing. They got this guy and this guy.
Yeah.
And then you go to that guy and you go to that team and they go, well, look at this other team we played. So, it's just you're never going to solve it. The best you can hope for is that if it's extreme, you say, fuck it, which I've done before. And I've seen other people do it before. And you kick them out, you disqualify them, whatever. Or teams take some self-responsibility and say, hey, we don't want to be this team. And there are a lot of teams like that. But then there's also teams that want to win at all costs. And, I walk a fine line when we host these tournaments because we want to have that competitive, no sandbagging, but you're also putting a reward of getting an invite to a tournament called the Beer League World Championships and saying that winning does matter, right?
Right, yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely more on GMs. Like, you know when you have a guy that doesn't belong. I've never been on a team that had a ringer where everyone was like, what? This guy's a ringer? Like, so just if they don't belong, don't bring them. There's going to be guys who are kind of on the line, right? Like, oh, this guy's just the best in that division, but he's not quite too good that he needs to move up. But I think there's those clear-cut ringers that GMs just have to be better about and just say, hey, sorry, you don't belong on this team.
Yeah, and that's a hard thing to do, especially when they're your buddies or maybe your team isn't the most skilled and they don't win a lot, and so they think the way to do that is to bring, higher-level players. But at the end of the day,
right.
You got to be honest with yourself, I suppose, and that's the only thing you can really do. And as I guess, league director, tournament director, I do all I can, but like I can't police everything. It's so hard when people come up to me and say, "Oh, this guy's a ringer," and it's like he's not a ringer. He's just
better than you.
Yeah, and that seems shitty to say, but it's true, right? Because you see it all the time. Oh, that guy's a ringer, but at the end, he's not really a ringer. Like he's a good player, but he's not outside of this division. He's just better than you are.
Right.
And the only way you can defend that is get better yourself, not go find someone that's better than him and load up,
exactly.
and then it becomes an arms race, right? So.
Right.
All right, I think last question, just because now my voice is going wonky again. Describe the best part and the worst part of the BLPA becoming such a success.
Oh, that's a you question.
I guess. I mean, not to get all philosophical on Jerry Lozano, which, by the way, great question. Thank you. there's different levels of success, and so I don't know, like, your level of success for sure doesn't match my level of success, and mine doesn't match Jason's, and Jason's doesn't match Frank's or whatever, right? And so I guess at the end of the day, you have to ask, what's the success? Like, there's a lot of vision for the BLPA. We just talked about long term. We want to have a facility of our own to host really badass events, and then then there's the merchandise, and then but as a success on the group, I guess having 20,000 people makes it a successful group, right? I mean, would you say yes?
Yeah, for sure.
And I guess you're not in the Facebook group, so you wouldn't know. And I guess, I mean, the best part is just the community that's been built, and I guess that's on any level of success. Anytime you can get people that kind of agree with what you're doing and are so vested into it that they spend part of their day online communicating with other people that feel the same way, and then they go to events and, I guess, fellowship is the right word, or hang out with people that do that feel the same way. That's incredible. That's the vision of what we wanted it to be when it started, and then it kind of branched out into obviously the tournaments and the events and the stuff. But for me, there's no like, okay, well, we're good here. Let's just stay here and see what happens. Like, that's just never been my mentality. It's always, how can we make it better? How can we do something different? How can we build on what we've already done? So I don't know. I guess I never sat and say, what's the best part about this being successful? Yeah, the community is the best part for me. And I like to play hockey. I like to hang out with people. So I guess that's that. The worst part, boy, it's a fucking time sink. That's for sure. I mean, if you say, like, what would be the thing? Well, I spend a lot of time, and not because I dislike it. I love it. I love talking to people. I love creating things. I love finding new merchandise. I love, going to Disneyland, and I'm there with my family, but I'm inspired to do something in the beer league realm by something I see at Disney. That's all really cool. But if you ask, that's also, I guess, the worst part too, because those thoughts are always in my head, and maybe that's not quite fair to my family when I'm celebrating my kid's fifth birthday, and I'm at Disneyland thinking of, man, this is fucking awesome. I should create something like this for beer leaguers. And so, the time sink and just that, and playing all the tournaments in a row, like, my body isn't getting any younger. I'm definitely not, I'm not the physical specimen I was 5 years ago or 10 years ago or 20 years ago. And so and just dealing with, there's a lot of hate that comes from stuff, like even just tonight, as a matter of fact, I had posted something about, here's our divisions: heroes, or ringers, heroes, benders, beauties. And I guess someone took offense that I would call the women's division beauties instead of buttes, and said that this was coming off as some sexist bullshit. And so you kind of have to deal with that a lot. And that's a hard part for me, because for me, I'm like, I want everyone to come play. I got hate mail when I called the women's decks the female decks, because not all women are female. And for me, that's like, well, that's not even anything in the realm of what I was meaning, but it was taken this way. And that's hard for me to deal with, because I don't want to alienate anybody, and it sucks. So that's probably the hardest part for me, just the taking the time away from my family, and then, having to, I don't want to say politically correct, but having to just kind of be so cognizant of the things you say, because it could offend a lot of different people in a lot of different ways.
You can call me a beauty anytime you want.
Well, you are a beauty. And
Thanks,
I mean, I don't get that. And I even asked her, I said, I don't know what you're on about. I think I've been pretty clear on where I stand of, I want this to be a group that anyone, regardless of age, sex, race, creed, religion, whatever, can be a part of. So I don't know where this is coming from. So, but yeah, so that's that. Anything else to add here?
Love it. I don't think so, man. It's 1:30 in the morning here, so I think I'll go to bed now.
Yeah, I think we did it late, but we did it for the people. We did it for the
We
people.
did, yeah.
And
So, yeah, I had. I will tell you this. So I guess I do have one more thing. I've been in a invite only skate. It's called Firemen's. It started out with a bunch of firefighters, but now it's just a group of guys that we all get together, and it's an open hockey that all levels from beginner to guys that played semi-pro type stuff. But it's just a fun group, and for the first time ever this week, I rolled up there and I had at least 10 people ask me about the podcast. And most of them are asking, hey, why haven't you recorded this week? Because they wanted to listen to another episode. So, apologize to you guys, Fireman's Group and specific that we haven't had an episode in a couple of weeks. We'll get back to our regular schedule, but we appreciate the support for sure.
yeah, we do definitely appreciate the support. And I get lost on how many people actually listen to the podcast. Because for me, it's just something, I guess it comes natural. Like, I need an outlet to talk about things and to discuss things that are in my brain, and like the rink thing. I like to get ideas from different people. And so it's just something I would do even if nobody listens. So sometimes I forget that people actually do listen to us talk, and I always get messages like, when's the next episode dropping? I'm like, we got to make our schedules coordinate. And it's so hard when it's not like a job, right? Like we don't get paid. We don't get paid to do this. If we did get paid, I don't know how much fun it would be, because we definitely have to be like hard and fast with, we have to do this, and this. And I've never kind of been the guy that's like, tell me what to do and I'm going to do it. I'll be like, fuck it, I'm going to do it the way I want to do it, which is a detriment to some things, I suppose. But if it was a job, if we ever get more than the Hockey Wolf sponsor and they start demanding things of us, then maybe that's when we'll be like, it'll always be on this date and this date. But for now, like, Jason has a job and I have another job, and we want to record every weekend, and sometimes we just can't, and we really feel bad. Like, we're always discussing, like, we got to knock it out, and then we feel bad. And so know that we try to stay on schedule. Sometimes it doesn't allow us to. Maybe we should record some interviews. We should get a bunch of interviews, like get 10 interviews lined up. And then if we can't be in, like, we can obviously add interviews into the show, but then if we can't be on that week, we can still put an interview out so people have something to listen to.
That's a good idea. Yeah, I like that.
Or we just record like 30 minutes of fart noises, and the weekends that we're not there. What do you think? Yeah. Or burps. Burps would be good too. I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
you never know what you're going to get when you open the episode, so it'll be a surprise every time.
This should just be called the fart episode. And people will be like, why is it called the fart episode? And they'd have to actually listen to the very end to get the reference for the fart episode.
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
Other than that, be good or be good at it.